Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Josh Halter from the Bio Dude. Here I'm in my new showroom, which I'm really excited to be showing you guys in a later video. But today I'm going to be talking about how to set up a poison dart frog terrarium utilizing my TerraFlora Bio Dude bioactive kits. So I'm going to go over the step-by-step on how to set up an 18x18 24 Exoterra. I'm going to go over different lid options, lighting options, as well as how to drain your tank if it goes above the drainage layer, which commonly happen with your high humidity biomes. So I'm actually going to move over here, and you can see my plethora of stuff here on the floor. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start building my tank right here. So for starters, I have my TerraFlora Bio Dude substrate. All of my substrates are handcrafted and designed by me. They are meant, the TerraFlora is meant to retain water while allowing the proper amount of water to pass right through it, going into the drainage layer to prevent negative bacterial growth while maintaining the air pockets needed for proper plant development as well as development of your springtails and isopods. So the very first thing that I'm going to do, since it is a very wet biome, is we're going to go with our Bio Dude HydroGrow drainage layer. And essentially what this does is it sits underneath the soil. And as the soil drains water, this catches all the extra water. So think of it as the Earth's groundwater. This is what is keeping our soil happy and healthy. So in my empty tank that you see here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up the HydroGrow. And I'm just going to simply take it, and I'm just going to dump it. Now, it is a little dusty at first. That's just because it is made from glass, like your other similar products. This is the HydroGrow. Creates a nice, even layer that doesn't have a lot of deformities, which causes substrate to pass through it. But I'll go through that in a minute. Now, with the HydroGrow, you typically want at least a 2-inch layer. For a dart frog, I'm going to go a little bit higher, just because the humidity requirements for these guys is between 80 and 90% constantly. So, I got 3 bags of HydroGrow in here. Nice and simple. From there, we're just going to simply distribute it out, so it's nice and even. Now, what's nice about the HydroGrow, when I mentioned earlier about the evenness of the top, it still has all the air holes that you need to do the drainage job. But what it doesn't do is create an uneven surface that goes like this. When you have an uneven surface like that, without a substrate divider, it causes the substrate just to fall through and get mixed in and essentially ruin everything. For burrowing animals, you would need a substrate divider. But with just this, how it is, since dart frogs don't burrow or really do anything like that, you really don't need a substrate divider. But I include it because the standard of this type of system is that people expect it to be done. But with the HydroGrow, it is not 100% necessary unless your animal's a burrower. So just for the sake, I'm putting it in here. Okay? So it's nice and even, as you can see. Now, I'm always going to leave a corner open. So you can see how my thumb can actually reach this spot right here. This is how I'm going to be draining the tank if the water level gets too high, and I'll show you guys that at the end. So we have our HydroGrow, which is there to catch all the excess water out of the soil, and then our screen divider. Next, we take some of our Bio Dude soil, the TerraFlora, and you're going to take it, you're going to open up the bag. Now, what's nice about these bags is you can put it under the sink, or just use a watering can and dump it right in the bag, right like this. Who needs buckets when you can just use the bag? And you take it, and you turn it around like this, and you let the water evenly distribute, as you can see, right like that. See how easy that is? Open it, you dump it. I'm going to do that number 1. The bags come pre-moistened a little bit, but typically the desired consistency will always be wet but not dripping for the TerraFlora. If it is dripping constantly, you have too much water in there, you got to wring it out a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Now, my flora is packaged in 6-quart bags, so it's not the typical 1-gallon sizes that everybody else provides. You get a little bit more bang for your buck with the dude substrates. So then, we're going to take this, I'm going to go right like that. Then the last bag. You notice how my hands aren't that dirty yet. I like that. Alright, so fill this baby up real quick. Alright, now I put a little bit more in this one just because what this is going to do is if there wasn't enough in those, guaranteed you're set for that. And then I'm just going to dump it all on in here. Perfect. And the next step is just distributing. Now your hands are going to get really dirty, but it's not that bad. So I evenly distribute the substrate like so, making sure that your substrate level is at least 2 inches. The more substrate you have, the more effective your soil is. So you guys can see the consistency of the substrate itself. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding in the first layer of biodegradables, which is my AAA New Zealand sphagnum moss. And now this stuff, it breaks down, but very, very slowly. Instead, your essential cleanup crew, your springtails and isopods, love this stuff, so they break it down. It helps maintain humidity in your soil. And the dart frogs like it because it kind of prevents some of the excess substrate from getting stuck to their skin. So I'm going to go like this. I thought of everything with that. All right. You take your biodegradables. It should be wet, but not dripping. Okay? Take it, dump it. And what you're going to do is evenly distribute this through the top. I personally don't like a 2-inch layer of this stuff at the top. Some people do. It's unnecessary. I'd much rather see you guys mix it in with your soil to help create more aeration, if anything. But the flora doesn't need it. But some of your traditional ABG mixes that have this mixed in because they need it for it to work by how it's designed. So, then the next thing we're going to do is add our essential cleanup crew, which are our springtails and our isopods. So, for starters, the springtails that I have selected a couple different types. I have selected Sonella, Falsamia, and large silvers. So all these are going to produce pretty quickly in here, and of course in different numbers. So all I'm going to do is just dump them right on in there, and you guys should be able to see them crawling around. Perfect. Okay. So after we see them crawling around, then we're going to put in the isopods, which are your very secretive little species. I'm using a mixture of dwarf whites and dwarf purples, both of which do great in this setup. And I'm going to go ahead and dump them in here, and you guys can actually see some crawling in there as well. Let's see. Here goes one. There's a dwarf white right there next to my finger. You can see it crawling. Okay, now, the next thing that I'm going to add is a newer product that is not included in your kits, but I highly recommend having it in every single one of your tanks. A big problem is that your plants don't get as much nutrition because they're only getting it from what's inside the tank. So I thought to myself, why not have a natural organic fertilizer that not only benefits your substrate but also benefits your plants? So that's what the BioShot does. The BioShot has a 4:4:4 NPK ratio that has archaea and mycorrhizal fungi in it. That essentially are your drivers to help break down organic matter, feces, leaf litter, spag moss, decaying plant matter, things like that, and turn it into macronutrients that are easily absorbed by your plants. Essentially, makes your green thumb a little bit bigger. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the BioShot right now, and we're just going to simply, you can see what it looks like here. Doesn't look like much, but I assure you it rules. And you're just going to go right like this. 100% harmless. It just does wonders for your plants. Now, the next thing we're going to do, which is my favorite part, is scape. Yeah. So I got this monster piece of ghost wood, which I sell on my website, by the way. Love this stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this piece, I want this piece to be my headline piece. So I'm thinking about putting that right like that. Oh yeah. I'm digging that. I think that looks nice. What do you got? What do you think, Andy? Do you think that looks good?
Looks pretty good.
So you guys can see the Mist King up here. I got a dual nozzle that I connected up here in the corner. It's going to go off for 2 minutes a day. And then I'll evaluate the humidity levels and then tweak it if I have to. And then I'm going to have another piece of ghost wood right here. I think I'm going to put... Actually, I'm going to save that piece because I think I kind of want to go. Never mind, I'm going to put it right like this. For right now. So, one thing that makes me different from a lot of my other vendors that are in the same demographic as me, which I'm very happy to serve. They sell bromeliads that are little tiny cuttings that you have to get rooted and established yourself. There's nothing worse than getting a bromeliad that doesn't have any roots established. I hate it. Half the time they die, they dry out, or they just rot because there's something wrong. So I thought, why not make it easy and sell bromeliads that are already rooted, that are adults, that have roots already in them that you can plant in the ground or you can mount. So I always sell these bromeliads on my website. I sell them with groups. Mother plant has 3 pups, start at 16, and then I have other ones that have close to 5 to 10 pups which sell for 25. So I'm going to figure out where I want to put these, and I think for this one I'm going to put right back here because I think that's going to look really nice. I'm actually going to move this. I don't like that there. Now that I think about it. Oh yeah. So yeah, I want the bromeliads to be somewhere that is going to give me, or give them light, but give them airflow. They need a lot of airflow. Not a lot of airflow is the death of your bromeliads. And then I'm going to take this beautiful one right here. Now I'm going to plant this bad boy right here. Oh yeah. So, you can plant these with the way I sell them, and they're adults. So you can plant them or you can mount them. It can really go either way. I might elevate these guys. I kind of want to see how the rest of the tank turns out and what I end up deciding to do. So then I'm going to... There we go. That's the way to do it. I'm digging it. I don't like those plants in the back. I think something better can be done with those broms. But I'm not sure yet. So I also have a terrace fern. And I also have a Brazil nut fern, which these is a new plant that I've been carrying that does really well in like humid conditions. So for that one, I think that one's going to look really nice planted right up front here. Then the terrace fern, I'm actually going to put right in the back because this fern's going to get nice and tall and fill out back here. Now, again, I kind of put this one hidden because this is going to be my surprise plant that just all of a sudden shows up all nice and big and looks really awesome. So now that leaves me with these bromeliads that are in the back. And to be frank with you, I actually kind of like how that looks. Even though you can see the nozzles there, I like that. I think it looks nice. So the next thing next thing I'm gonna put in there are my monkey pods. What's nice about these is that most of them hold water, so they act like water dishes, which is great for dart frogs. You should always have a water dish for your animals. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the monkey pod right like that, and I'm gonna add a little bit of water in there. Then at the end of the video, we'll check and see how much water it actually holds. So after we get all this laid out, we then have to add the fuel, leaf litter. Dart frogs in the wild are always at the bottom layer of the rainforest. What's at the bottom layer of almost every ecosystem? Leaves. So they love to live in and out of the leaves, catching the small springtails and isopods that inhabit within. In the wild, they actually eat ants, termites, and things that actually give them their toxicity, because they turn the different proteins and amino acids and things to a bacteriotoxin, and then they synthesize the bacteriotoxin onto their skin. So what we're going to do is take the biodegradables, and we're just going to simply spread right like that. I have people ask me, Josh, why do your leaves have dirt on them? Hey, Bio Dude, I opened up my bag of leaf litter, and there was some sticks in there. I want to tell you right now, I sell leaves that come from the woods. If you get leaf litter from me, it's going to have sticks in it. It's going to have small pieces of dirt in it, because that means it comes from a good place. It's your super clean stuff that is impeccable. That, especially your oak, that usually means it's from a residential area. Because if there isn't other debris mixed in with it, where do you think people got it from? That's a good way to consider where you get your leaf litter. But that isn't true for everyone. That's just something to think about. That's all. So, as you can see, what I'm doing right here is I'm just throwing all the leaf litter throughout the entire thing in the back. See, and with this tank, I wasn't trying to go overboard with it. Like, especially, like, I'm looking at it and I see this spot, and like, I think something needs to be there. And then I think to myself, I really don't think anything does, because essentially, you know, all this is going to grow and it's really going to fill in beautifully. But what I am going to do is I am going to put a little bit of my sheet moss up here. I'm actually going to attach it. I'm actually going to put it, around the monkey pod. Yeah. Now, this moss is dry, but it literally comes right back with a little bit of water. As you can see, the monkey pod is retaining water. And then the next thing that I'm going to do with the monkey pod is my moss spore mix. This is legitimate moss, California moss in spore form, that can grow in as little as 36 hours after applied. A very fine powder. It's absolutely beautiful. And what you do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to sprinkle it around the top of the monkey pod. And what it's going to do, because the monkey pod, since it's holding water, is always going to be wet. So what's going to happen is the monkey pod's going to get covered in this nice little fine colored moss, and it's going to blend right in there and look really, really nice. I'm also going to put a little bit, after I moisten the tank, right on top of this ghostwood, so this ghostwood eventually gets covered. Eventually I might add some miniature bromeliads up here, but honestly I like this just how it is. I think it looks really nice. So essentially the maintenance that this tank is going to have, it's going to be misted. As you can see, the light I have on top here is my 16-inch LED with my adapters. The lid that I have on here is currently the Exoterra lid, but I am going to be upgrading it to a custom glass lid. Something to keep in mind, the Exoterra lids, with humid environments, they're not very good. They rust rather quickly, so it's something to keep in mind, especially with dart frogs, that you don't want your lid rusting and putting rust chemicals into your tank, because that is very poisonous to amphibians. As far as feeding your dart frogs, I like to feed them fruit. I feed them fruit flies that I culture on my fruit fly media. A lot of people will remember the Universal media. When I was Genesis Exotics, I sold over 1 ton of media last year. It's over 3,000 pounds of media. As far as supplements go, I like to dust the flies with, as you can see in another video how to do it, with the RepCal pink label, with calcium and vitamin D3, because that's really important, so that way they synthesize calcium, because it has the essential carotenoids in it. But the biggest thing to keep in mind is dart frogs need a very special carotenoid called retinol. Retinol basically goes into the essential drivers of homeostasis for these guys, oogenesis, which is egg production, vision, the salival ratios on the tongue, the ability to catch food. This is a special supplement that I sell called Egg Right, it's handmade with retinol. It also has other carotenoids in it, which helps with vitamin A and should be given once every 2 weeks. And then of course I have the tadpole food that's very high in carotenoids, which helps with your later stages in development, which causes, where some dart frog people that are breeding them end up failing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close this, and I'm going to step back here, and I'm going to take a look at it from a distance. I really want to make sure. I like that. I think that looks really nice. I wish the broms look good too in the corner there, because they'll fill in. I'm digging it. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is Josh Halter. I am the founder and owner of The BioDude. You can visit my website, www.thebiodude.com. Find me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel. I can tell you right now, as far as my dart frog experience goes, when I was with Genesis Exotics, I had over 75 pairs. I have bred dart frogs for many, many years. It's just unfortunately when I went through the brand change to appease the old partner, the dart frogs were the things that had to go. So that's unfortunately why I no longer sell the dart frogs to the public on a large scale. Again, guys, I really want to thank every single one of you. The dude abides.